just ask that you remain seated at all times, keeping your hands, arms, feet, legs inside the vehicle for the duration of our expedition.
Say hi.
Also ask that you supervise children at all times, keeping a good grip on any phones, cameras, or other personal items, as we will not be able to stop for anything that gets dropped. Finally, I ask that you please refrain from whistling or calling out to any of the animals that we see out here on the reserve today. We're going to start things off heading into the Little Aturi Forest, which is home to Shire creatures that like to say we're concealed back behind the brush. But I bet I'll be able to find some for us. As a matter of fact, out there to our right is an okapi. Many people believe the okapi to be a relative of the zebra due to the sharpening on their legs and hindquarters, but they're actually the closest relative of the giraffe, which we can tell based on their head shape. They have a very similar skull structure. Okapi have long prehensile tongues that they use to grip leaves off the bushes they eat so many of, and those tongues are actually long enough that they can use them to lick their own eyes. Okapi were first discovered by Westerners in 1901, which is the same year that Walt Disney was born. To our from most left side, we're also going to have several greater kudu as well as some bongo back in that bush, those shiny red ones. Bongo are known as the ghosts of the forest due to rarely being seen, and both male and female bongo have long curvy horns that sometimes overlap. Regarding those greater kudu, they're the second largest antelope species, staying around 55 inches at the shoulder, and we can tell that those were female kudu from their lack of horns. We're now heading out of the Little Aturi Forest and over into the Safi River. The Safi River is home to aquatic animals such as the Nile crocodile and Nile hippopotamus. Now, Nile hippopotamus are nocturnal, but we do usually have some pretty decent luck getting to see some that are up and active even during the day. Looks like we do have a couple almost entirely submerged out there to our right, as well as a pod of pink-backed pelicans out on that island. Pink-backed pelicans are the smallest of the pelican species. They're also the only pelicans that build nests in trees. They're named for very faint pink oils that create on their backs during mating season that's then spread throughout their feathers through preening, which is basically the word equivalent of grooming. Off to our left are several more Nile hippopotamus. When submerged, they're capable of staying under for up to 8 minutes on a single breath. They're unable to swim due to not being buoyant at all, so instead walk or bounce on the surface beneath the water. They do spend a vast majority of their time in the water, typically only coming onto land to feed, as they are herbivores that come plant and eat grass.
I see.
They're actually considered to be the most dangerous animals of Africa due to being intensely territorial. Also on our left are several Nile crocodile. Nile crocodile are capable of eating up to half their body weight in one meal. They usually only eat about once a week, but they're known to be able to go several months in between meals when food is scarce. They may look as though they're sleeping, but they're most likely not. They are ambush predators, so they are simply awaiting their next meal. Some interesting facts about Nile crocodile are that both males and females will roll their eggs around in their mouths to help them hatch. Once they do hatch, females often carry their hatchlings in their mouths to protect them from predators, at least until they get too big. And actually, one of their most common predators are other crocodiles. We're now beginning to leave the Safi River behind and starting to make our way over out onto the Savannah, which is the largest region of Harambe Wildlife Reserve.
Oh, here it comes.
Off to our right is a baobab tree. Baobab trees can live for over 1,000 years. They're sometimes known as upside-down trees due to being leafless for up to 9 months out of the year, which helps to conserve water and gives their branches a bit of a root-like appearance. The savannah is home to some of the most iconic African animals that we have here on the reserve, such as the Hartmann's mountain zebra, the Maasai giraffe, and maybe even some African elephants, just to name a few. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. Starting things off on the savannah, to our front right, we're going to have sevell Ankole cows. We also have a Hartman's Mountain Zebra further out there. Ankole cow are one of 2 domesticated animals here on the reserve. Those horns are going to be around 4 feet long, but aren't as heavy as you might expect. They're hollow unlike some other types of horns, and they're filled with a honeycomb-like substance that allows them to diffuse blood throughout those horns to thermoregulate, aka to keep cool. So those horns actually only count for about 1% of their body weights. Otherwise known as Watusi cattle, after the Watusi tribe, which first domesticated them, and they're commonly seen as signs of wealth by the farmers that raised them. To our front left, lying down back in that cavern, is a pack of African painted dogs. Painted dogs typically live in packs of 5 to 15, and each individual of the pack is known to personally greet every other individual every morning. They're thought to be the most successful hunters of Africa, with a roughly 80% success rate. People often confuse them with hyena, but hyena are actually more closely related to cats than dogs. Out there to our left, back behind these bushes, are several sable antelope. Sable antelope are considered to be the most aggressive antelope species, and given a fight or flight situation, will typically choose to fight. For that reason, they're the icon of many African sports teams, as well as the icon of Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Coming up ahead, passing us by on both sides of the truck, are several termite mounds. These mounds are made up primarily of termite dung and saliva, and as they harden, they become as strong as concrete. The animals out here on the reserve will frequently use these mounds as scratching posts. Looks like we are going to have a Maasai giraffe heading potentially our way off to our front left. As you may know, are the world's tallest animals, standing between 16 and 20 feet tall. A big part of that extreme height is their massively long neck, which despite being so long, only contains 7 vertebrae, just like the neck of a human.
Oh, he's coming. He's walking over.
We're also going to have another look at this Hartman's Mountain Zebra off to our front right. People often wonder whether zebra are black with white stripes or white with black stripes. So if you were to shave a zebra, you would find that those stripes actually go all the way down to their skin. So the answer is actually neither. Those stripes act as a form of camouflage, not with their environment, but more so with each other. As I heard a preamble, those stripes allow them to blend in one another, which makes it hard for predators to distinguish where one zebra ends and the next zebra starts.
Let's see that.
We're going to have a herd of wildebeest out there to our right, as well as another Maasai giraffe. We can tell that these are Maasai giraffe from their spots. Their spots are more spread out and less well-defined than other giraffe species. Now, the key characteristic of giraffe are their ossicones, those bony prominences on top of their heads. Both males and females have ossicones, and while they resemble horns, they're technically not, due to being covered with skin and fur. When giraffe babies are born, they fall around 6 feet, 10 of them up and walking within their first 30 minutes of life. And just like their cousins the okapi, they have long prehensile tongues that they use to grip leaves, but their tongues are actually purple, which helps protect against sunburn when they're out and about high up for so many hours of the day. Just past this herd of wildebeest to our front right, we also have a herd of springbok, the smallest and fastest antelope here on the reserve. Springbok engage in a behavior known as pronking, where they'll run around 50 miles an hour while jumping about 6 feet up and 13 feet forward. Back in the brush, just past this giraffe to our left, is an eland, the world's largest antelope species. They're basically straight muscle, capable of jumping straight up in the air around 9 feet. Male eland often scratch their horns around in the grass to collect leaves and foliage on those horns to form a sort of crown to attract mates during mating season.
Oh my goodness, there is another one right there. Wow.
Also going to have one more look at this herd of Maasai giraffe off to our left side.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
We've never had so many animals out.
Yeah. And some of them are quite close to us.
To our front right now is an African elephant. Both male and female African elephants have tusks, so we can't use that to determine which we're seeing. However, the fact that we only see one, in addition to its massive size, is a sign that that is a male. Real quick, to our left side, we also have a mandrill, the world's largest monkey species. They have a max weight of around 100 pounds, and males are characterized by bright blue and red facial markings, which become brighter when excited. Once again, regarding this African elephant to our right, if I didn't say already, females in the roster will live in herds while males are excluded and will get to live on their own, or extremely rarely in herds of other males called bachelor herds. And I do believe that is our oldest and heaviest male. He is 40 years old and close to 13,000 pounds. Work of the Disney Conservation Fund has found that African elephants are actually extremely afraid of bees due to having very sensitive skin. So if an African elephant detects bees in an area, we'll alert the other elephants in its herd, and after that point, they'll effectively permanently avoid that area.
Mommy, I go.
Yeah.
I go.
I don't know.
African elephants often decimate the crops of farmers either by eating them or just straight up trampling them, which can obviously cause rifts between elephants and farmers. So researchers have determined that a good way of mitigating this is placing beehives on the fence lines of farmers. The elephants don't have to get stung to stay away, let us hear the sound of the bees never come close. This is beneficial for the elephants as it prevents them from potentially being hunted by angry farmers, and mutually beneficial for the farmers as it provides an additional source of income in the form of the honey that the hives produce. Out there to our front left are several more African elephants, which once again is a sign that those are likely females living in a herd with their offspring. You may periodically see them flap their ears around, which they'll do as a means of thermoregulation. They do have hundreds of blood vessels on those ears, so by flapping them around, they can actually reduce their internal body temperature by as much as 15 degrees. Coming up ahead on both sides of the trunk are several more baobab trees. Those trunks contain vast quantities of water. For that reason, they're also known as trees of life, just like the icon of Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Looks like a
Look at the flamingos back there.
On our left is a flock of greater flamingos, the lightest shaded pink of all flamingo species. When they hatch, they're a light gray color. And although they are really starting to look like the adults, if you look closely mixed in, we do have a couple roughly year-old chicks that can still be identified by grayish necks, heads, and thighs, as well as a black speckling at the base of their tails. Again, their complete pink coloration around a year and a half of age and the vast quantity of brine shrimp they consume, which are high in carotene. Some fun flamingo facts are that babies are called flaminglets and flocks are called flamboyances.
I think so. I do.
Here to our left in the mud is a divot called a wallow. White rhinoceros enjoy rolling in these wallows to coat themselves with mud, primarily as a means of staying cool, but that mud also works as a form of sunscreen. So seeing these wallows is a sign that we may have some white rhinoceros nearby. Walking around beneath the shade of the trees out there to our left are several cheetahs. Cheetahs are the fastest land mammal. They top speed of between 60 and 70 miles per hour. They use their lengthy tails as a sort of rudder to quickly change direction while pursuing prey at those very high speeds. They're also one of the only cats that hunts during the day instead of at night. Gonna have at least one more coming up out there to our front
Right here.
left, a bit closer to the truck. Now coming up on a Kopi Rock formation, which was the inspiration for Pride Rock in the 1994 film The Lion King. So there's a possibility as we come around this curve, we may have some lions somewhere up there on those Kopis, although during the heat of the day they may be tucked away.
Daddy, I go.
We gotta look for lions now. Let's see if we can find them. Look, ostrich.
What are
Right on the road.
Coming up now, pretty much straight ahead, about to be on our right, is an ostrich as well as several white rhinoceros, which, as we know, you may not know, but they're the larger of the rhino species, weighing around 5,000 pounds. They're more social than the black rhinoceros, living in herds of males, females, and their offspring. So they're likely even more in the nearby vicinity.
Some lions, yeah. No lions.
On our left are several burrows carved in the sides of these hills, most likely carved by warthogs. I'm not seeing any warthogs. They do have remarkable camouflage. They can also be deep down in those burrows, which when threatened they'll back themselves into, pointing their roughly 5-inch tusks out to defend themselves. I'm not seeing any more ostrich. However, straight out to our right is an ostrich nest. In addition to being the world's largest bird, it's also the world's largest eggs. Those eggs can weigh as much as 3 pounds, which is roughly equivalent to 2 dozen chicken eggs, and they're actually sturdy enough that they can support the weight of a human standing on them without breaking. So now, starting to make our way off the reserve, we do have one more stop. We're approaching the Warden's outpost, who has been raising some domesticated Nigerian dwarf goats. Nigerian dwarf goats are commonly raised for their milk, which is quite sweet and considered fairly valuable. You may notice that they have a bit of a potbelly-like appearance. This is due to goats being a type of ruminant, to mean that they have segmented stomachs. So basically they have 4 stomachs inside those big bellies.